We live in a community where a man talks and he doesn't expect the woman to talk. A preacher preaches and he doesn't expect anybody to ask questions. Children are beginning to question the information and question the status quo. Their voices are beginning to rise up.
We are in a society whereby women have been left at the background. They can't do something. They can't amount to anything. I want ladies to know that they were wired to do more than what communities feel they can do.
Hi, I'm Gaelle, Mambo, a teen journalist with the Advice Project here in Bamenda, Cameroon.
Hi, I'm Shneider Remi. I'm also a teen journalist with the Advice Project. Today we'll be talking to you about a lot of things which concern our society, Cameroon. We're talking to you about child abuse as pertaining to teenagers, especially teen girls in the aspect of sexual abuse.
In Cameroon, many people live in poverty, and it's a struggle for many families to provide for even their basic needs. So many children are expected to head onto the market to hawk, which is selling various goods on the street. Hawking is often a complicated issue in the society. Families need the income their children bring from hawking. They may bring as much as 10,000 francs, which equals $200. We spoke to a couple of people in the community to find out if hawking, an income-generating activity, is considered child abuse.
For one, I used to hawk, and to me at that time, I didn't look at it as I was being abused. I looked at it like I was, in a way, helping my mom.
For me, it's not child abuse. For me, that's a good way to bring up a child to be living well in the society.
In as much as children are called to help their parents, I wonder if actually hawking is a means of really helping those children. So if I see any child below the age, let me say 10, because sometimes you see them even 7 years old, carrying trays in their hands, selling hawking here and there, for me it's child abuse.
The issue comes in when you don't give the child a choice. That's where the problem is. I went to school, and during my holidays I could go around hawking. Right now we have a problem when even during school the children are still forced to hawk.
We have a lot of cases of young girls moving, and a man sometimes will call them to come and buy, and before you know, that girl comes out and she can no longer move. She has been raped.
That in a way interplays now with even human trafficking, because these children sometimes are recruited to go to other places and then they are used now to hawk.
When you look at statistics in Cameroon, the girls are more vulnerable during hawking than the boys. The way girls and boys are treated in Cameroon, it's different from the fundamentals. The way they are treated back at home and the way they are treated in society actually differ. Let me take an example. When a girl is called to do house chores and the boy is maybe free to go and watch TV, that's already a fundamental difference that actually determines who they become in society later.
In Africa in general, but in us we have certain issues. We still have issues of female genital mutilation. We still have other harmful practices like child brides. They don't really promote girl education.
Teen girls and teen boys are treated differently in Cameroon. Women in general in Cameroon are considered to be objects.
There is no way for us to avoid raping young girls in the society. There's no way, and we really need a help for that.
Rape is very common, and we don't really blame the girls nor the boys. It happens.
Globally, rape is an epidemic, with 1 out of every 5 or 6 girls being raped. Here in Cameroon, it is impossible to know the numbers. Rape, which is usually an underreported crime, here in Cameroon is almost never reported. Girls are often being ostracized and stigmatized when they share their stories, and so in most cases they won't even tell their parents. This means that there's a high rate of teen pregnancy and HIV, and the girls have to carry the burden of the crimes being committed against them. In fact, they are being blamed for being raped.
Over 80% cases of rape aren't reported. The victims sometimes are scared because of the stigma they will have after maybe like unveiling to the world that they have been raped. They'll begin to look at them sometimes as second-class citizens. So they know that going back, they prefer digesting the hurt and living with it, with the psychological trauma, rather than telling another person, because it will no longer be psychological, but will be psychological and physical.
If you are really a man and you know yourself, a child of God will not want to do that.
Generally, society, we do not take action when things happen to girls. And we should learn not to blame them.
When we talk of rape, we talk about the position where you were and how did you get there before you were raped. Did you shout? Did people notice that something was going on wrong somewhere? If not, then we don't consider that as rape.
It's a collective responsibility that I think that is not being met, and I feel that if everybody looks at that issue of treating each other like, as human beings, I think we'll go beyond that. So it's a whole vicious circle that everybody is supposed to blame for this. The government, individuals, the civil society, and all. We all have a part to play.
That girl you are abusing, she is one mechanism in the systems that makes the system function. If in one or the other way she's defect, she's not able to meet up with her economic, she's not able to meet up with her desires, and then the system will not work, and that will be a failure to the community, that will be a failure to the nation as a whole. So we should think well about gender equality, helping these girls to achieve their goals, and we should take them as human beings, not as women, because I believe what I can do, a girl or a woman can do better.
Perhaps a part of the reason the girls are blamed is because they are not in control of their own stories. A New York journalist, Liza Mundy, suggested in the New York Times, the closer you get to money and power, the more you reflect the interests of the people with the money and power. This means men who are privileged in our society have control of the stories, and most often they are not discussed at all.
If there is no stigma attached to these young girls, they will come out and they'll speak clearly. So I feel that the young girls, the young boys, they need to come out and speak. Tell the world what is happening in your life. Community, don't stay quiet. Listen to these children and take action. Then actually we'll change the way things actually happen in this country.
Cameroon, 1 out of 4 girls undergoes breast ironing. Breast ironing is used as a method to prevent rape. While it is being mainly practiced in the rural areas, it also happens in cities like Bamenda.
Breast ironing is one of the oldest cultures in traditions in some parts of Cameroon.
It was my mom. I was about 11 years old, and what she normally did was she warmed the cooking spoon on fire and she uses it to press my breast.
It's like devaluing the female gender, making her feel inferior.
Fortunately, there are people actively working to eradicate this culturally supported yet hidden practice. These people are primarily women, retired grandmothers who have committed to not ironing the breasts of their grandchildren. Here in Bamenda, a number of these women have formed a group called Gender Danger, which has formed a campaign to stop breast ironing in our community.
We started the first meeting. We were privileged to have the delegate of Women's Affairs with us during the opening occasion in the regional hospital in Bamenda. We have really been going around to many groups trying to lecture. We have reached a good number, and the women were really appreciative every time we went and gave lectures to them. Even they shared their experiences, because every time that you went and gave the lectures, there were people who were victims of this breast ironing. So they shared their own experiences.
I'm a teacher by profession. I try to find out from the children if anything like that happens to them. I was surprised when I got to class and asked the children, how many of you know anything about it? Almost 3/4 of the class stood up. When the lecture was given and this banner put up, some women actually burst into tears, because some came out and identified the methods that they have used on them.
It is very painful. Sometimes when I want to say it, I will burst into tears, because it is degrading. They send you under the bed before grinding, and they warm the pistol on fire. Put it on fire, it's warm. You see, they will be pounding like this. Pounding. And
they put you under the bed so that they confine you, so that you cannot run away. Just like a prisoner.
This is the stone. They'll use the stone and warm on the fire. Warm. When they warm it, they will grind it like this. But the pistol is my brother who used to do it. And after pounding, they warm again. Sometimes the warm is very hot.
They did it like this for about how many times?
Many times, nearly every evening, for months.
As teen journalists and writers of the Advice Project, we know it's not enough to simply share these problems related to child abuse and the complicated issues surrounding it.
We also know that it's not enough to leave the brainstorming of solutions to these problems to adults only.
Around the world, it's generally men who are the perpetrators of violence. We tell our men to be aggressive and that they have the right to rape.
What if instead we focus on telling our men that we don't like aggressive men? In fact, we think that a man's strength lies in his ability to strategize peaceful solutions to problems. Moving towards gender equality is crucial, but the cooperation and dialogue between men, women and children will create a systemic change.
We, the Advice Project citizen journalists of Bamenda, have decided to partner with Gender Danger.
And we are forming a cooperative advice project, Gender Danger Club, so that we can support the grandmothers who want so badly to eradicate gender-based abuse.
We are learning how to write opinion editorials, which we are then going to publish so that an international audience can hear our work.
This is one way which our voices as teenagers, which are so often marginalized, can be heard by adults and people in power.
Another method to effect change is to join forces with other girls from around the world. This past summer, we flew all the way from Bamenda to Peru to take part in the Leadership and Empowerment Summit.
There we took writing classes, strategized solutions, and wrote articles to examine issues pertaining to gender violence around the world.
So what can you do to help? Firstly, if you're a publisher or an editor, you can help by giving us paid opportunities to publish our articles in your publications. Secondly, if you're a radio broadcaster, we ask that you give us opportunities to share our stories widely.
As teen journalists, today we've covered a lot of important topics. We've talked about breast ironing, about child abuse, about hacking, and about sex education. Your support will help us to reach more teen girls, and it will help us to amplify our voices to be heard by the entire world.